One of the most important things in getting value from your data is being able to get from insights to action. I'm going to show you how you can use our embedded analyst to quickly find an insight driving your KPI, generate ideas for an action you could take on that insight, and then build a business case and implementation plan for taking that action. In this case, I'm looking for ways that I can improve our solar power adoption rates, and I'm going to bring in the embedded analyst to help. Now, the first thing I need to do is find insights that are driving that adoption rate lower. And so I'll come in for the analyst and I'll give him my first command. Find the 5 insights with the most negative impact on overall solar adoption rates. And enter the command. And what you'll see here is the first thing it's going to do is check whether I want to use the analysis it thinks I'm talking about or not. And so I'll just quick confirm and say, yes, use existing KPI. Now, the next thing you'll see it do is it's going to bring in the specific AI analyst that's well-versed in solar power industry and KPI as a whole so that it can help discuss with me the different insights that we're finding. And here you can see the analyst has brought back the different insights that it wants me to look at. The first couple as we go through here are people living in single-family homes, have a very low KPI performance. But then this second one here, even more specifically, those living in a single-family home that are not convinced solar provides great ROI. And so that's a great pattern that I might want to key in on and see if I were to persuade these customers that solar provide a great ROI, could I increase their solar adoption rates? So now that I've found an insight I like, my next step is to start thinking about what actions I could take to improve my adoption rates for these respondents. And I can use the embedded analyst to help me with that. The question I'll ask here is, I really like the second pattern. What actions could I take to convince these respondents that solar does provide great ROI? And I will ask the question here. And you'll see the analyst has come back with a summary of the actions that could be taken, the business case for what kind of opportunity value there is for taking action here, along with a few ideas for what those actions might be. It could be something like an educational campaign. It could be personalized financial analysis, community engagement, incentive programs, you name it, but I'm now in a mode where I can start brainstorming with the expert about what I can actually do with the insight. So as I'm thinking about different ways we could provide personalized financial analysis, one idea that comes to mind is something like an ROI calculator, where a user could come in, put in their own information, and see for themselves what kind of savings they would get. And so now I can work with the analyst to, with an action in mind, start building out both the business case and the implementation plan for that action. So what I'll do is I'll come in and talk to the analyst and I'll say, let's consider an action to create an ROI calculator. Assume the calculator would cost $50,000 to develop and it would increase adoption rates by 20% for these respondents. And what the analyst should do for me now is come back and really build out that action plan. So here you can see it's created a summary of the action for me and a business case. If we spent $50,000 up front on this, we would then get a gross benefit of $165,000. And here are some ideas for how you might go about implementing this. Now, before I get too deep into the implementation of all of this, I'm going to ask another question just to make sure I'm looking good from a financial business case perspective. And that is, well, what increase in solar adoption rate would I need to break even on developing this calculator? And remember, I just gave it that $50,000 number for upfront development cost. And you can see the analyst has done that calculation for me. And so with the upfront expense of $50,000, we then need an increase in adoption rates of 6% to break even on that upfront investment. So that makes me feel much better about moving forward and proposing an implementation. Now that I feel good about my business case, I'm going to come back to building out my implementation plan, and the analyst can help me with that as well. So the command I'll give it is, help me build out an implementation plan for the ROI calculator to be ready in 3 months. This implementation plan is looking pretty good. I just want to make a couple tweaks to it to do some more development and testing. So I'll tell the analyst, keep the project plan at no more than 12 weeks, but shorten planning and design phase so I can get to development and testing sooner and stay in that phase for longer so I can get some focus groups in. And you can see here, the analyst comes back, it's incorporated my feedback. We have an accelerated planning and design phase. We're in development and testing for longer, and then we get to our finalization and launch. So now I can work with the analyst to mold this implementation plan to be exactly what I want. Now that I've worked through all the pieces, it's time to tie everything together, and I'm going to have the analyst summarize all of this in a complete project proposal. So I'll tell the analyst to write a complete project proposal using insight, proposed action, business case, and implementation plan. And here you can see the analyst has summarized all of this nicely for me. I have a well-structured project proposal that covers everything I asked it to, and this would be something that I can now take to my boss or other teams to socialize it. So that shows you how you can use the embedded analyst to find an insight and get from that insight to a polished project proposal within just minutes. If you have questions about this feature or any others like it, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, if you'd like to try Unsupervised on your own data, just go to unsupervised.com/demo to request one, and we'd be happy to help.